it got around where what I was doing in wrestling, I was an enforcer, where I was hurting people for promoters. And that was one of the problems I had, was one of my big problems I had. I was working the door one day. The guy came in. This was many years ago. Young kid. These are young punks. They come in through the door. One guy has no ID. Of course they don't. He's like, "Oh, I'll give you $20." And I look at him. I'm like, $20. So you give me $20, I get fired for $20 to let you in. He goes, "Okay, how about $100?" So I'm like, "No." He goes, "How about $200?" I'm like, "Dude, go home. If you want to watch women shaking their ass, go home and watch a video then. Save your money." So he got insulted by that. He left. I thought he was gone. He came back. He put a gun to my face. He put a 45 to my face. And I remember that day clearly. And he looked at and he's shaking. He has the gun hit. He's shaking. He's like, "I will pull this trigger." So me, I'm young at the time. I'm like, you know what? If you're gonna pull it, you pull it. Because I'm already steamed. Now you don't know, your mind is going, you're like, you don't care. So I'm like, pull it. If you're gonna pull it, pull it. You pulled it out for that reason now. You better pull it, because if you don't pull it, next time I see you in that street, your ass is mine. He goes, "I'm gonna come back for you. I'm gonna come back for you." And he's holding a gun and he's walking out the door. So one guy threw a Corona bottle at my TV screen that was above. We take the guys. There was guys outside already, but there was 3 of them, 4 of them inside. So we walked them out. All of a sudden, the door gets locked behind me. My partner, the bouncer, locks the door behind me. I'm outside now. Yes. We're all 10 of them. Now, they're all surrounding me. I got no choice. I'm not gonna say, "Oh, please." I start fighting. I mean, they're hitting me everywhere. I'm hitting them everywhere. I feel me hitting them because I feel my fist hitting them in the teeth, and this and this and this and that. By the time now the sirens are coming, the cops are coming. At the end, there's 3 guys on the floor out cold. I knocked out 3 guys, and the rest of them all ran.
Huge thank you to you, the viewers, for helping us get to over 1 million subscribers. If you've not subscribed yet, please hit the subscribe button. Helps us get great guests and keep doing this hard-hitting content. Hello, everybody. Welcome to my friend Joe, who's also a friend of Wildman online through Facebook. He's been watching the Wildman stuff and our stuff for many years. And Joe, his story's totally insane, folks. Out of New York, we're talking wrestling, crime, doorman. There's just so much to it, man, and I really appreciate you. The spirit of Wildman is with us today, looking down, and he spoke very highly of you. He said he spoke to you on Facebook, to me, and I appreciate you spending this time with us, brother.
It's my pleasure, Shaun. And we're going to dedicate this show to Wildman today.
Thank you. So we'll go back to the beginning then. For you growing up, what was that like? Where did you live? What were your parents like?
Growing up in Brooklyn, New York, back in the day was wild because you always had fights in the streets, and my father was in the underworld. My father worked for the Chins Giganti. If you know what the Chins was, yeah, he was basically his main collector. They used to call my father Joey Black, and Blackie they called him. And what he did was he basically did collections for him, and whoever didn't have their didn't have their vigs, he would have to, bloody up his hands a little bit. You had to support your family like that, and that's what he did. But my mother was a home woman. He didn't want my mother to work, because he wanted, back in the day the men did all the work, and the women stayed home, took care of the kids and stuff like that. I had 3 brothers, 2 other brothers. So it's 3 of us in the house, including my mom and my dad. My dad was always out. And my father would be, my father would always get pinched, and then we would go visit him in prison. We would go to Danbury, Connecticut, the federal pen, and then we would go to Lewisburg in Pennsylvania. That's the bigger pen. We would go visit him all the time. We were young. We didn't know what the hell was going on. We see a lot of people with guards. We see this. We don't know what's growing up until my mother said, until you get older, I'll explain it to you more. Because you see a lot of different people, and then people coming over the house, guys with long jackets on. We didn't know these guys were big guys and they were ugly guys. I'm talking about goons, big ugly goons. We didn't know who the hell they were. We just stepped back, stood quiet, and didn't ask questions.
What was that conversation like, Joe, when you did finally become aware of what your father did?
Because I was starting to watch movies. Once I started knowing about what my father did, I started watching movies. Then I was like, wait a minute, that's the same thing. Basically, and I love the movies. I love those old time movies, the gangster with James Cagney and stuff like that, Humphrey Bogart. And once I knew my father was into that, it's like it turned me on. It's like, wow, I want to be like my dad. And I was the firstborn, so named after him. So I was like always intrigued by that, being like my dad. And I said, you know what? My mother didn't want me to do it. She's like, don't do it because you're gonna get in trouble. You don't need to, blah 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 blah. You're young. I'm not gonna listen to my mom. And once it came to that point where my father passed away when I was 14 years old, he passed away. So now I started knowing some of his friends in the streets. So I went up to his friends, say, hey, can I do something for you? But, can I do some work for you guys? So what they would do is they would give me a job is bring a package from A to B. Nothing crazy, just small jobs, packages from bringing here to there. Until one day my mother goes in my drawer, pulls open the drawer, she sees money like there's no tomorrow in there. She's like, what's this? I was collecting cans and bottles. She's like, how the hell are you collecting cans and bottles and making all this money? So, basically I told her the truth, and she knew how fond I was about my dad. So she's like, all she could tell me is like, just, Joey, just be careful. Keep your eyes open and watch around you. And just watch the people who you're working for too. Because there's always jealousy, there's this and that. Because she knew, because my father would tell her things, certain things, but not basically, the main things, but basically the small stuff. So that's what I was when my father passed away. So I had to make money for the house. My mother wasn't working until she got a job. Then I stopped for a while. And then what happened was, getting older, I started watching professional wrestling, and that's when everything hit the ceiling with the wrestling. And basically, what the wrestling was,
So what
my
year was
my
that?
family was involved in wrestling. I started wrestling. I started watching wrestling very young, but I wanted to get involved in it, over the years, because I was like, because I'm thinking wrestling was real. And I'm like, oh wow, you could go beat up somebody in that ring and not get in trouble. That's perfect. I like that. Instead of being in the street beating up people, you're gonna get in trouble. Not knowing wrestling was entertainment, not knowing that, you know. So I had my mother's brother Pete used to be a professional wrestler. He used to wrestle for the WWF back in the 70s, 50s to the 80s. He was there. So I didn't know he was my uncle until my mother introduced me to him, and I was excited about it. He said, I told him I wanted to become a wrestler, so he was happy because that's another family member getting involved with professional wrestling. So I started getting older. 16 years. I hit 16 now. I went to a school. Basically, they train you how to be a professional wrestler. And I started my first wrestling match in '91. I started, at 16 years old. I started traveling very young with the guys. I started traveling very young. My mother's like, "You love this. I know you love this. I'd rather you do this than you did what you were doing." you know. But that's going to come back. That's going to come on hit me back later on when I tell you the story about that again. It came back. It came 360. It came right back to me. So basically, I started traveling, and I always looked up to the wrestlers here. I always looked up to the wrestlers in the UK. I love the wrestlers in the UK. Like, you had King Kong, Malcolm Cook, you had the Mighty Chang, you had those guys. Those are my favorite bad guys they had over there. So I was always a bad guy wrestler anyway, because I ain't no pretty boy, that's for sure. So I'm like that ruggedly handsome looking guy. So yeah. So I went to the wrestling leagues. The money wasn't big in the beginning. And so, because my gimmick, I picked the craziest gimmick that you could ever imagine. I picked it. My gimmick was the Aryan Brotherhood. That was my gimmick, a skinhead, where people love to hate you, but they hate you. I used to come out with a Confederate flag. Yeah, I used to come out with a Confederate flag on one side and an Italian flag on the other side. So it was wild, and they would always put me up against an Afro American. They always put me up against them. Basically dark skinned guy because what because it's a racist gimmick. So I played it to like they get it where one day I was in Alabama doing a show and these skinheads were there, Aryan skinheads were in the crowd. They actually thought that I was actually one of them, but in another state. I live in another state. And I'm like, no. I said, this is entertainment. I said, this is an image. This is an act. Oh, they wanted me to join their club. They gave me a card and everything. They're like, if you're thinking about it, come see us. We could use a guy like you. You're big. You could be in the force of us. I'm like, yeah. Okay, yeah. I'll give you a call. Never did. I'm not involved. I'm not a racist person. I love everybody, black, white, purple, green, whatever it is. As long as you treat me with respect, I'll treat you with respect. But that's what yeah, I went through a lot of that. But I've been wrestling I wrestled for over 23 years, and then the
Ooh.
body starts breaking down on you. The body starts breaking down on you, and it starts, your back, your knees. And then, once I retired from that, because I used to train every day, then I start getting blown up and you start getting heavier because now you get lazy because you're used to the everyday training, lifting the weights, doing running, the bicycling and stuff like that to stay, because when you're in a match, you're always in a 20, 30-minute match every night. I used to wrestle 6 days a week, over maybe like 28, 29 days a month I used to wrestle. So basically, almost 340 times a year I wrestle. 40 days a year I wrestle. I'm sorry, and it takes a hold on your body. Every day, every day, every day, and you can't say no. I can't wrestle. It's not like you're going to your regular job and you call it. I can't make it today. You can't do that. You got to wrestle no matter how sick you are. And I wrestled when I had fevers and it was like it was hectic. But a show must go on. You're making that promoter money, and if you want to make money to eat for your family, you got to do what you have to do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, fights only last a few minutes, so to go for that long, you've got to be really fit.
Yeah, yeah. Even though, listen, it's entertainment and stuff like that too. But there was also like when I used to wrestle too. I was also the enforcer in wrestling too. Believe it or not. And I know you would love to hear that story. What I used to do with the wrestling, it was very, very with the promoters. What they used to do to me, they like say for example, they would get a guy that comes in and they give him a contract for 2 years, and they find out really the guy's not worth anything to them. And then the promoters will pay me to go in the ring with the guy. The guy would not know a thing, and I will go in the ring, maybe break his leg, break a shoulder, injure this guy real bad. So in 30 days he can't wrestle now. Now his contract is revoked, and they get to cut him off now because he can't wrestle and he's not worth it. So the promoter pays me to go enforce that to go bust him up. And that's what, and I said, you know what? I can make more money doing this like I did on the outside. I could do it in the wrestling too and not get in trouble for it. And that's what I used to do for the promoters. I used to be their enforcer. And even in professional wrestling, they even had that. It's sad, but you know what? We got to make a living too, you know. People don't know that, but there was a
So,
lot of things that
so
went on
what?
in
What?
wrestling that people do not know about.
So it sounds like you had no fear, like Wildman.
I never had no fear because my I was like my dad. My dad was like my bullets. My father was that kind of a guy. You shoot out and bullets will fly on off his chest because that's how I was. My father was like he always taught us. He says never be afraid. As he says to me and my brothers, if you ever get into a fight and you come home crying to us, I'm gonna take you back outside and make that kid kick the crap out of you, basically. So, you don't want to hear your father say that. You're going to go do what you have to do. And my father always told us, you throw the first punch. I'll deal with their father. You throw the first punch. So then they'll leave you alone. And that's what we used to do. Me and my brothers, we would throw the first punch, and my father would deal with their father. And that's what we did. Me and my brothers had no fear with anything. We just didn't want to get in trouble. We didn't want to make harm, my mother feel bad. My mother feel bad. Nobody wants their mothers to feel like that, especially you get their sons going to jail, stuff like that. My father was proud of us because my father wanted us tough, always wanted us tough. He says, even when he says, if I got bit, I ever pass away, at least you protect your mom too. You protect each other, you protect your mom, and you protect yourself. Yeah, but yeah, basically, when you have no fear, you're not afraid of anything that comes your way. Like we would get into fights out in the street all the time, me and my brothers, basically, even on the block, people would say if my neighbors would have problems with people on the block, they would always ring my bell to help them out because they already knew who my father was. And my father used to do the same thing earlier years, he used to help the neighbors out also. So then they knew what I did basically, not my brothers, what I did. So they would ring my bell and ask for help. If I could do them a favor. This one is bothering them. Can you talk to these people? Blah blah. And that's what I used to do. Let me tell you, if you have fear, you're not going to move up because you're going to be afraid to speak your mind. And when you don't speak your mind, you're going to miss something big. That's how I feel.
And Joe, did that cause you to have run-ins with the law at an early age?
Believe it or not, I got into law. They knew my father, so basically, if I got into any trouble, they would tell me, go home, stay out of trouble, because they knew my father really well, and I never, to this day, I never ever stepped one foot in a jail cell. Believe it or not, not one time.
That's brilliant. So you said that, towards the end of the wrestling then, you had to move on to something else. What did you do?
I became a bounty hunter. All my jobs were quick because I love living on the edge, especially when it comes to crazy jobs like that. Basically, a bounty hunter is that you know you go to jail, you get bailed out, you put money up for somebody, and then now you got to go to court now. You got to pay the bail now to the courts. Now, that's why they come to us to pay it. We pay the bail. Now if they're going to jump bail and run, we lose our money. The bounty hunters lose. We lose our money. So now we have to go get these people. It takes us time to go because bail sometimes 10,000, 20,000. We have to put down for these people, and we have to go chase them to bring them back to court. And that's how we get our money back. Basically, we're helping them, and they're jumping, and that's what we did. And let me tell you something. We caught some bad guys. I'll tell you that. I mean, I used to have a team. I worked with a team of six, four to six guys, and then sometimes I would do on my own sometimes because sometimes even if you have two people, you're better off too because you got somebody watching your back, you're watching their back, and you know how many you go in their territory, you don't know who's watching their back, so you gotta have eyes in back of your head, especially with that because that's a dangerous job as well. So I did that basically for 10, 15 years, I believe I did it for.
So could you describe your craziest hunter stories?
I give you, I got two big ones. I was crazy that when we went in, when we went into a house one day, the bail was 25,000. We went into a house one day, and the house is pitch quiet. You don't hear, we didn't hear nothing. You walk in, we didn't hear a single thing. All of a sudden, you hear a Glock gun, like a machine gun, glocking. So you already know there's something coming through the door, And then what happened was they, the guys fired through the door, and then it's like you don't know where to run because the space is so small. You know where to run, where to go, this and that. Now you have no choice. Now what do you do? You got to think quick right away. Now while the guy's putting bullets through that door, now you have a hole in that door. What do? You throw a gas can in there. You throw a smoke bomb in there. That's how you get that. Now the guy just messed up for himself. He just put a hole in there for our wrench to throw a smoke bomb in there. Now he can't see. He's choking up. He's got no choice to come out. We're wearing masks, so we don't care. He's got no choice to come out now. So now he don't know where we are because he's blinded. He's tearing from the eyes. He's crying up a storm because there's pepper spray in there. There's everything in this thing. So he comes out, and now you got to fight him. And this guy, I remember this guy. This guy was over 300 pounds, and he was like 6'6", 6'7". So yeah, so now we have to take this guy down, and then we have to use serious force. Remember, he's the one who shot at us, so we could use that force now. And plus, we have more jurisdiction over the police. We don't need to serve you a warrant. The police do. We could A police officer could be waiting at that door, getting ready to break that door down. We could go right ahead of him because he don't have a warrant. He's waiting for that warrant. We don't need one. We could go right through that door, and that cop will be waiting outside that door with his hand in his pocket. See, we don't need warrants. A cop would do. That's why the police, they hate us. They hate us because we basically do their job. They can't use
What was
force. We
he?
can.
What was he being charged with? That guy.
He beat the hell out of his girlfriend. I'm talking about he beat the hell out of his girlfriend. And it was, I mean, you couldn't even recognize her face. That's how bad he beat her. And this is what I don't understand. See, when we found out, we thought it was a regular assault, like a simple assault, like a fight back and forth, tit for tat. Later on, we found out what really. If we found out he did this to his girlfriend like that, we would never bail them out. Because sometimes you'll hear, "Oh, it was not. It was just an assault. That was all." Okay, we get a lot of that, so we go, "Well, we'll take it." But then later on, we found out he beat the hell out of this girl so bad you couldn't even see her, you couldn't even recognize her face. That's how she looked, like the Elephant Boy. That's how bad her face looked. Yeah.
So once you subdued him, did he go willingly?
Oh yeah, yeah. You see how fast they turn into a baby doll. You see how fast they turn because once they have that gun in their hands, they're untouchable. They're unbeatable. Once you take that toy away from them, it's like a little baby. You take a toy away from a baby's gonna cry. This guy, forget it, he was weak now, even though he was that big. But don't forget, there was smoke involved, tear gas involved, everything involved. So he couldn't go nowhere now. And there's six of us, and he couldn't see nothing. And we had the goggles, we had the mask on, so we seen him, we could grab him perfectly. He didn't know what was going on. So and then with all that smoke burning his eyes, he was more worried about his eyes. So we had the advantage right there.
Did he get another charge, another case for shooting at you?
Oh, he got another case for that. Yeah. I mean, we're talking about, let me see, 10 years ago. He's probably out by now. So, I mean, I hope, I mean, listen, I retired from that kind of work. So I hope he's doing the right thing, nothing I could, if he's doing let me tell you something. Sometimes you can't get away from that. You still do what you're doing because you're used to doing that. But you know what? God will handle him then. That's all I could say.
That's a hell of a story, Joe. You said you had a couple of stories like that. What was the next one?
Okay, now the other one was a car one. The car one was good because we used to drive in. We used to have a caravan. Like the mother soccer vans they used to call it, and we used to travel. We used to use those as transport. So one day it was a girl. We had a girl, and this a woman. Really, the women are crazy than the guys. I tell you that. We had a woman in the car. She was about maybe 250, 250 pounds, and she was maybe like 5'10". So she beat the hell out another one. She beat up her daughter. So we wind up taking her in. Again, it was an assault charge. We find out. Figure, okay, it's a woman, it's assault charge. Until the daughter came, we didn't know till the daughter came and we seen the way the daughter looked. The daughter was all messed up now. So we're like, here we go again, because we remember the case from with the guy that I just told you about. All right. So we figure, okay, she's a woman, she's gonna come in peace. We didn't know she was a gang member. We didn't know that. She was like an enforcer of a gang member, of a girl gang member, of a girl gang. So we're like, oh, okay. We found that out later. So she's in the car with us. So later on, they came out with the zip cuffs. Later on, we started using the zip cuffs. So we didn't know this girl was a strong girl. She busted. We didn't know she busted it open. She actually busted it open because she had her hands behind her back, and either she was rubbing against something or because she busted it open. We didn't know. She played it off. And then what happened was there was one of the guys sitting next to her, and she went after him right away. She had a big nails because when you're a gang member like that, a lot of the girls they have their nails big and what they do is they file them into a point and they use it for a weapon. And that's what she did. She got him in the neck, she got him in the face. Now I'm the one who's driving, so everybody is going nuts in the car, and we had one girl, and we always have a girl on our team too because the reason is that we have to search the woman, and our girl on our team has to search it. We can't do that because then they'll say it's a sexual harassment thing. We touched them wrong. That's why we always have a girl on our team. So everybody's fighting in the van. The van is like almost shaking, like it's gonna go over. So I have to pull over on a highway on the side of the road. And this is nighttime because we always go after our people at night. They don't expect. So this is like 3, 4 in the morning on the highway, right? And this is going towards like upstate New York. So we're coming back. And then all of a sudden, we pull over, we slide open the doors, and it looked like all animals in there fighting. We're all fighting the girl, and this girl is like hitting my guys, like if she was a guy hitting them. Hitting them, boom, boom. So you know what? I had no choice. I gave her, we wear these special kind of gloves. I had to give her a shot right in the jaw just to calm her down. So I laid her out. I had to because what are you gonna? What I had nothing else to give her. I didn't want to shock her. I'd just give her a shot in the jaw so she's like, oh my god, because I had everybody there, so I couldn't shock her. So once I gave her a shot to the jaw, she went down. We put everything down. Once she woke, we're driving now. Once she woke up, our side door, we didn't realize our side door was still open. She rolled out of the car. She knew I think the door was open, so she rolled out. And she wind up we wind up had to go chase her again, blah, blah, blah. And then again, we don't know, it's like Houdini. She got out of the what he calls, we don't know how she did it. She wound up picking up a tree bark. She hit one of my people with it. So again, like I said, it's like she was on something. So once we got her surrounded, we got her, we put her down. I'm talking about we had to hog tie her, actually hog tie her, basically like we had to tie a bull up. And that's what we had to do to take her in. It was bad because the way we brought her in, all 6 of us had to carry her with a rope, bring her in like if she was a bull. And those were the craziest 2 stories I had.
Joe, these stories are too good. You got to give us some more from the bounty
But I
hunting.
could just imagine how it is now. I mean, we have this bail form in New York where there's no bail now. So I mean, these guys ain't making money. There's no work now with these bounty hunters because there's no bail unless you murder somebody. So we have these politicians that they don't want to do bail because it costs the city a lot of money. It's sad because I'll be honest with you, it's like New York City is going down the tubes. Like the United States, everything is going ballistic. This whole world is crazy right now.
So when you bailed these people, then did they have to be U.S. citizens? Otherwise, they would just flee to the back to their own country.
You have to try to get them before they flee the country because once we did because we're New York, we work in New York. Once they flee, we're basically we're effed. You get what I mean? Because now they're going to another country. All we could do is we could call up. If we found out where she was going, we would give a shout out to where she's going to their people over there. But most of the time, those people will stick up for their own kind in there, so they won't even bother. So once she hits that plane, we're basically screwed. We can't do nothing about it because unless you're a special agent or something like that, you could chase her. We couldn't chase her because we have our jurisdiction was New York.
So who were the most dangerous people you bounty hunted? Any like Colombian drug lords, anything like that?
We did two Cubans, like Cubans we did, drug lord Cubans we did, and they were made, mighty when I say weightlifters, I'm talking about they carried a lot of weight with them, if you know what I mean. And
Yep.
and these guys were basically in the Bronx, and then we had a lot of a lot of Jamaicans too, a lot of Jamaicans also in the Bronx. We went after also because like these days now, every corner, everybody's selling something. It's like I mean, especially like in the Bronx, in the bad areas. Every country, every state has a bad area. And there's always somebody, something going on over there. And then they kill each other because they want to be the number one. But they don't realize they're killing the people. They're killing the innocent people too. They don't care. They're making their money. But that's what we basically picked up. We mostly picked up people like assaults. Like I said, we picked up a couple of heavy waiters. Not too many of those because there was mostly more assaults, gang members, motorcycle me- motorcycle members, biker members, stuff like that. Who else? Like Latin Kings, like small groups, like groups but the younger kids, the younger generation. It wasn't the older generation; it was the younger generation. Because the younger generation, they'll do anything to be a member of the club, so they'll do anything, and they'll leave them hanging too, so they get in trouble and stuff like that. And that's basically what we did. But it was a lot of work because you didn't know what was behind that door when once you hit it. You don't know what's behind that door. You know? And then I
How easy was it to catch the Cubans?
basically no. I tell you, the Cubans wasn't that bad. It was the Jamaicans that were much worse. The Jamaicans were
What
worse
happened?
because
What happened?
what happens with the Jamaicans are the Jamaicans is they always had their at the time marijuana was illegal back then, and that's what basically they sold, and they had garbage bags full up to the top of that crap, and that was their number one thing was that. So, we were there, but we wasn't going after that. We were going after them because, you bail them out and then yeah, I tell you an exciting story about sometimes we work with another bail company, right? We work with another bail company because they have trouble sometimes getting these guys. So they would get an extra hand from us. They would call us. So they would see me. I wouldn't take a bond to bail those guys out because I already know what their deal is, and they could run right to back to Jamaica right away, easy, easy. So they would bail. I don't know why they would bail them out, but they would bail them out. They would call us, and we would give them the hand. And basically, we're coming after them, and they're thinking right away we're going after their stuff because they don't know who we are. They think we're somebody that's going against them for their stuff. No, we're coming after you to lock you up. So they're going there thinking we're going after their, but we're not. We're going after you. We don't care about you. We want you. No, we let the cops take care of that stuff. We want you. See, that's because they're thinking we're rival enemies. We're going after them, for after their stuff. We don't want their product. We're going after you because you jumped on the previous bail company. Now we're coming after you now. You know, but that's what they would do is they would the way they would protect their product. They would kill you for basically to protect their product. You know, and like I said, they didn't give us that much trouble the way the assaulters did, the people who did the assaults did. These people, they're just worried about their stuff. But the people with the assault, they were the most dangerous ones. Because they're the ones that had the guns, they had the weapons, they had this, they had that, you know.
So, what was the most serious injuries in this occupation you sustained or your team sustained?
I get I get basic we couldn't carry guns with us. So we didn't carry live ammo with us. We would carry like they're like these they're like paint we call them paintballs. We shoot you with the paintball and it hits you and it shocks you. So that's what we carry, and then the pepper spray. And the most ever happened with me is it was a crazy, crazy rainy, windy night, of course. And one of the guys on the team, it just pissed me off so bad because you're supposed to say, I'm gonna let out the pepper. That's what you say. He didn't say it. And there's rain coming down, there's wind coming down, and I'm next to the guy. He shoots it, and where does it? It doesn't hit that person. It comes back and hits me in the face. So basically, I'm blinded now, and it's pepper. It's pure pepper. It's red pepper that it's killing my face. It's burned, and then it goes into your throat. You can't breathe. It's basically you have to take baby shampoo to wash it out of your eyes. You have no time. Then you don't know what's going on. Now there's a brawl going on, and you can't do nothing because you're blinded, and everything is going on, and you don't know where to look, turn because you can't open your eyes. You can't breathe. And you got to worry about somebody's going to come at you now to hit you, kick you, beat you, throw you on the ground. And you're at their mercy now because you're blinded because of all that crap that's in your face and it burns like a SOB bad. Let me tell you. I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. Maybe a couple of them worst enemies I got, but I wouldn't want to wish it bad because it really, 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 it really burns you, and then it marks you. It marks you for like a couple of months. But I wouldn't want to. I wouldn't want to face that again. The hardest person it was hard to catch is it wasn't a male. It was a female. It was hard to get. It was hard to get because once you go after a female, they protect her even more because she's a female. And once what they do is they pass her on to another family member, and then they'll say, "Oh, how we used to do it is we still like say we say, oh, where's Martha at? Oh, we don't know. Okay, listen, we have $100 here. Where's Martha at? Oh, Martha's at her aunt's house. Now they know where Martha is. Okay, now you're not going to get this $100 until you take us where Martha is. You know? Oh no, no, she's not there. She's not there. But because now they're looking for more money. And now what happens is she gets passed on. Now we go to that house, and then they know too. Where's Martha at? Oh, she's not here. Now you got to pay them now too. Where's Martha at? Oh, she's there. by the time you get Martha, you're out of your pocket for 500. Just trying to get her. But you know what? Sometimes it's worth it because you want to get that bail back. And you want to get paid. But that's what they basically do is they pass on to other family members, especially if they're from another country. You're gonna, like I said before, you're gonna be screwed because they're gonna try to send her away. Now, if she's born here, out of 10 to 1, you're gonna get them because where are they gonna go here? Unless they have an underground hallway or an underground spot for them. Those underground spots they hide people in now. But if they're from another country, you're not gonna get them because they're passing them on everywhere. But we had that one girl, and she was very, very hard to get. But it took us maybe 22 days to get her. But we wind up getting her because you got to pay these people to tell us where. Then you got to make up lies. Oh, listen, if you tell us where, we will protect you for whatever you do. We just say that to them. Oh, you will protect? Yeah, we'll protect you. And that's when we get her, and then we take her in, and that's how we get them in because we have to bribe, we have to tell lies, we have to do all that. And I mean, it doesn't come back to us because it's who we are. This is what we do. They're afraid of more bounty hunters. They're not afraid of cops. These people these days, they're not afraid of cops because the cops can't do what we could do. We could really force the law on people physically. Cops can't do that. But they could still get us on assault charges too, but also turn the clock around. They're going to look at them. Well, what did you do? You're already the bad person. You already did something bad. They're going to believe us more than they would believe them, of course, because they're the ones we're going after because of the crime they did. You know,
Which lifestyle was crazier, wrestling or bounty hunting?
I say bouncing when I bounced.
So that is that coming next?
That's coming next. Yeah. No, but I went
So
back into. I went no, not yet. I went back into. I went back into the underworld. I went back into collecting because now I met new people. I met a lot of new people now that I wanted to work for, and I did work for because now I'm smarter. I'm older and I'm smarter now, and I know what to do. Now I'm going out, not delivering packages anymore. Now I'm going out collecting and beating people up now. You know, this is what I'm doing now. Now I'm dirty in my hands now, bloody wise. For these people to get their money, to get their VIGs and stuff like that. That's what I'm doing now.
have you got any stories from that career you could describe?
Yes, of course. Yes, I do. I have plenty of those. I work for a lot of guys. A lot of the older guys were at the end of their line. A lot of the older guys, they passed on now. Now they passed on. Like I said, you had the chins. That's my father used to work for. You know, those are the guys that passed. Basically, he passed on. Tony, big fat Tony Solano passed on. My father worked for him. Some of the guys I can't bring up now because they're still around, and I don't want to put their name out there. But I worked for them, and I did great for them. I usually drove. I drove for them, drove them to here A to B, and I collected their VIGs for them. When they had game days, footballs, game days, or even when people came up to them to borrow. You know, and then these people, they're borrowing money, and you got a job to pay it back. Pay it back. Don't play the game where you don't have money because you're a degenerate gambler. You know, but I blame them too because what it is, if you know this guy's having trouble paying, why give him the money? Why give him the money? Because basically, I'm gonna go. I'm the one who's going to get it, not you. I'm the one who's going to go beat up the guy and make sure he gives you that money. You know, and there was a lot of times where there was weapons involved where you're going after a guy and the guy pulls a knife on you. You know, I didn't carry a weapon. I didn't like carry weapons because to me when I never carry a knife because I always think the hands are always better than the knife. I always said that to myself, you know. And the minute you pull a knife out on me, my thing is I'm going to poke you right in the eye. That's what I'm going to do. I used to take my two fingers and poke you right in the eye. That's what I used to do right away because right away you lose. You pull that knife out, you poke a guy in the eye. What's going to happen? They're going to lose. They're not. They're losing concentration. They're losing everything. You know. But these guys these days, everything now is all guns, knives, this, that. Nobody uses their hands anymore. You're an old school person, you don't use your hands anymore. But basically that's what I did. When I went out to go collect, I always used my hands. I didn't use a pistol or a knife or I would carry knuckle dusters in my back pocket, you know. Those were my favorite. The knuckle dusters were my favorite. I used to love knuckle dusters. And the reason why I still love knuckle dusters is because Mr. Dave Courtney. I love Dave Courtney. God rest his soul. Dave Courtney was the knuckle buster over there. I love Dave Courtney. I learned a lot from him, just by watching him and stuff like that. You know, there's a lot of guys out there too that did debt collecting in the UK that I looked up to too. A lot of guys. And you had your Lenny McLeans, you had your Norman Bucklands, you had your Matt Legs, you had all these guys out there that did all that. They did all that kind of stuff too. To what I do here, and it's great work. It's not. I'm not saying it's fun work. It was a job. I didn't. That's how I seen it as a job. It's a job to put food on my table. It's a job. You had to go do what you had to do. But now you don't want to get caught up in the law. Because now you get these young guys, especially there's all young guys now everywhere in this life, where the minute you grab them, they rat you out right away. And those are the people you got to stay away from. Those are the ones you got to stay away from, is those young ones. Because those young ones, because they could walk down the street, who the hell do they think they are? But when that time comes, when you grab them, they're gonna rat you out right away because they don't want to. They can never step foot in a jail, never. My story was always I came out of nowhere. That's why I never stepped one foot in prison because when I did my job, I did it quick. I never let nobody know who I was, what my name was, and who I was. The only ones that knew me was the people I worked for. I never showed my face long enough. I never hung out. I did my job and I left. I never partied. I never did anything. That's why nobody knew who I was. And that's why I never got in trouble. You know, and there was always a code. If somebody needed me, 'cause there was always somebody listening on the phone. They would say, I need a bouncer to work tonight for me. That was my code. So I know what I have to do tonight. It's like calling me into work as a bouncer tonight in the club. That was my code. They would tell me I need a bouncer to work. That was my signal to go collect tonight. Because there's always somebody listening on that phone. You know, and the toughest, and there was two toughest. Like you asked me about the two toughest thing, two toughest days I had is with this one guy, and I still remember this guy. They called him Primo. He's a big guy, big guy. He was like a brick house. This guy, and I say 6'9", 375 pounds. This guy could have been a collector himself, but this guy, I tell you, when he collected like $5,000, and he had to pay it back. He had to pay a vig every week. He had to pay, I believe it was 800 a week. He had to pay until he got that money up. He was doing good, but he drank a lot. So I went to his house. I need that money. He didn't want to give it to me. He's a big guy, of course. Now, what do? You got a big guy that looks like he can move the house. What do you do? So either you hit him with a knuckle duster, or you use a baton. I always carried a baton also. The baton is always good to use. You hit the guy in the knees, he's going to go down. And that's what I did. I hit the guy in the knees. He went right down. Once he's down on the ground grabbing his knees, he's like a baby now. He's crying like a baby. You know, now he's going to give you that money up now because now he's on that floor. He's going to dig down in your head. You're gonna jump on top and do damage to him now. But no, just give me the money and I'll leave. That's it. It was basically him and then a female, a female bot. Now, what do you do to a female when she borrows? What do you do to a female? You know, she she knew I was coming to her for my because she see me coming away, and my fault was I turned around, she jumped on me, and my back, she started scratching my face and stuff like that. You make things worse like that. So you know what? You're gonna fight like a man. You're gonna take it like a man. You know. So she's on my back. I picked her up. Like if it was like if I'm pressing over my head, and I just like threw her, like if she was a paper airplane, over like she was. It was like I think it was her like a living room table or something. I threw over living. She hit that big hutch thing, and that hutch fell on her. You know what? I'm calling the cops. Call the cops. What are you gonna do? Call the cops. What is the cops gonna do? They know who you are already. You're a junkie. They know who you are already. They know you're calling us for some reason. You're a junkie. You borrow money, pay it back. They're gonna tell you the same thing. Pay it back. So these people won't come to you because the cops they knew us in the neighborhood too. Because we used to watch the neighborhood. We used to protect the neighborhood too. So they knew us right away. They knew who we were. That's why they never bothered us. Because 4th of July came, we helped them out. Christmas time, we helped them out. With the kids and stuff like that. So they never bothered us. And we never did anything for them to bother us. We kept everything on our side of the yard. And we didn't, they always asked us for help. We always helped them. Because, you help them, they help us. And that's what we did. But basically, that was the two craziest little things, but not major, but those were two. Other than that, they used to pay, they used to pay. But now I don't know what's going on in the
How,
world now with these people.
how did you transition into bouncing then?
I Yeah, that's another thing. I used to watch. I used to, like I tell you, how I used to get I got involved in that. I did regular security at first. Like a night watchman, like one of those guys that stay in a shack and they watch whatever. So I was always a big guy. So person was telling me they're like, why don't why don't you become a bouncer? You make more money. What the hell's a bouncer? Because security, work at a club, it's called a bouncer. But you get to do your thing. Like you get to fight, you get to do. You're not supposed to fight, but you get to do your thing. Because a bouncer and security guard is two different things. So you work the doors, you do this. I'm like, oh, that sounds good. So I'm like, can you point me to direction? So he points me direction, and I worked in these catering halls, made a little bit good money. Then I moved up to gentlemen's clubs. That's what I've been working in ever since. The gentlemen's clubs. It's not about the women shaking their asses and their boobs. Who cares about that? I'm there to make money. I'm not there to see whatever's entertainment because you see one, you see them all. You know, and that's what I did. I worked the doors. That's what I've been doing today. I've been working the doors at clubs like that, and and there's a lot of course, there's fights. I've been doing that now. I've been doing this now for 30 years, so I'm well experienced. Being a bouncer because it's like they say in the pawn shop world. In the pawn shop world, you don't know what they're gonna bring through that door. It's like you don't know what that person's coming through that door with, who that person's gonna come through that door, or what he's gonna do when he comes through that door. You don't know until you remember you're the first person he's gonna see at the door is the bouncer. So you don't know what he has for you when he comes through the door. Because sometimes you could have did something a long time ago and you forgot. I threw this guy out years ago, and they're gonna come back and give you a surprise. But you got to remember Me, I remember every face that walked through that door, and I remember every person I threw out because you have to. If you don't, you're going to get screwed because the guy could have a knife on him, he could stab you at the door, and nobody's going to know nothing unless you have a partner there. Because nobody's going to know because it's all the entertainment going on in there. All the music is loud, this is loud. You don't know what's going on in there. You know, like I'm the kind of person, you going to put a gun to my face? You better shoot me because you have a reason to pull that gun out to me. And that was one of the problems I had, one of my big problems I had. I was working the door one day. The guy came in. This was many years ago. Young kid. These are young punks. They come in through the door. One guy has no ID. Of course they don't. He's like, "Oh, I'll give you $20." And I look at him. I'm like, $20. So you give me $20, I get fired for $20 to let you in. He goes, "Okay, how about $100?" So I'm like, "No." He goes, "How about $200?" I'm like, dude, go home. If you want to watch women shaking their ass, go home and watch a video then. Save your money. So he got insulted by that. He left. I thought he was gone. He came back. He put a gun to my face. He put a 45 to my face. And I remember that day clearly. And he looked at my and he's shaking. He has the guy hit. He's shaking. He's like, I will pull this trigger. So me, I'm young at the time. I'm like, you know what? If you're gonna pull it, you pull it. Because I'm already steamed. Now you don't know your mind is going, you're like, you don't care. So I'm like, pull it. If you're gonna pull it, pull it. You pulled it out for that reason now. You better pull it because if you don't pull it, next time I see you in that street, your ass is mine. He goes, I'm gonna come back for you. I'm gonna come back for you. And he's holding a gun and he's walking out the door. So I already know. One of the girls called the cops. The cops come. They come to me, and I don't want to rat the kid out because I don't do. Even though the kid put a gun, I'm not ratting him out because I'm coming to see him when I see him. They're like, "We know where he's at." I'm like, "How do you know where he's at? He's at the other topless joint that's 2 blocks, 3 blocks down. You got to come with us." Why do I got to come with you for? Because you're the victim. How? I said, like, how did I? One of the girls who was managing the place told the cop everything. So now I got to go with the cop and point the guy out that I didn't want to do. So the cop already seen the kid. They had the kid's picture already from an ID when he came in on the camera. So because my boss had these special cameras because they didn't have cameras at the time. That was crazy, but he had this special camera. It was like a VHS camera at the time. But there's VHS. It didn't show good, but it was good. So we seen the kid. We waited outside this place, this other club, and who comes out? The kid. They go, and I seen him coming. The cop's like, "Is that him?" I'm like, "No, it's not him." He goes, "Yes, it is. That's him." They go, "Look." I'm looking. So I'm like, it might be him. Let's see if it's him. They search the kid. They find the gun. The gun is under the wheel of the car. One cop decides to go under the car. He binds up, bending down, looks under the wheel. There's the gun. That's the kid. So the kid gets locked up. I didn't want to be the one to point the kid out. I didn't even have to point the kid out. They're the ones who basically pointed the kid out. So, and I told the kid straight out, I says, I didn't point you out, but I will be looking for you when you come back out. So the cops didn't say nothing to me. They locked him up. They had a, then what happened was they sent me a paper like, if I want to go to, like go to court like a month, two later. I didn't want to go to court. I didn't want to do anything. I didn't care. Now the kid is a young kid. He's gonna jeopardize his life. He's gonna go to prison. He's gonna jeopardize his life. I'm not that kind of person. I want this kid to go rot in prison. What he did to me, like I said, God's gonna punish him, stuff, whatever like that. And I will see this kid one day, and I will not beat him up. I will question him, like, why did you do that? Well, is it worth it? Why? Probably today, as we speak, he's probably not one of those kids that he used to be. He's probably somebody better, and who knows? He could be better. He could be worse. I don't even know what he looks like anymore. So you don't even know what I look like because we were a lot younger. I had hair. I had this. So no, I mean, at the time it was a lot different. And when you're younger, you do anything to show off because you had a friend with him, so you're going to show off and do whatever. It's like guys when they walk in the club with a girl. I have it just popped into my head. A couple came in one night and they're sitting at the bar, and all of a sudden they were there for hours. The woman gets jealous because her boyfriend gives the girl a tip because basically the girl was giving the girl a tip. She didn't want the husband giving the boyfriend to give him a tip or whatever he was. Gives him a tip. All of a sudden I see it. Face guy, the girl cracks him in the face. The, the girl that he came in with. So and I'm watching and he cracks her back. So I get up now. I grab him, and as soon as I grab him, he's fighting with me. So I'm fighting with him back. How bad was this? Again, this girl grabs on, she jumps on my back, telling me, "Get your hands off my boyfriend. Get your hands off my boyfriend." What? I'm protecting you. I'm protecting you. So it's like now these days, it's like let them fight it out. Throw them out. Let them fight outside. It's like because if I'm protecting the woman because her boyfriend's beating her up, and she's gonna jump on me and try to beat me up because I'm gonna hurt him, not hurt him, just to restrain him. And you're gonna jump on me thinking I'm gonna hurt him. Then you know what? Then you go do that outside. Then I'll take it home with you because then why am I protecting you for? You know, and that's what I see. Even if I see it out in the street now, because it happened out in the street one time where a guy was beating the hell out of his girlfriend. I interfered. The girl wind up jumping. It's like they love jumping on my back. They jump on me. They start fighting with me, and it's like you know what? I'll just walk right past them, let them fight it out because it's not worth it. Because you're the one who's going to get into trouble, even though you protect, trying to save and help the girl out. It's not worth it because she's looking out for his being. Even though I'm trying to help
Did
her.
you did you ever kick anybody out and then they come back with like the gang members?
Oh yeah, that happens so many times. I mean, I do like regular gang members. Like these bull crap little. They get these like 20 guys on there in their little gang. One day I threw a guy out because he was drunk. He touched one of the girls wrong. I threw him out. He didn't come back that day. He came back 2 nights later with the guys because I guess he had to round them all up or something. They all came back, and then you got like 15 guys out there waiting for me to come out, and then I got me and my 4 guys in the club, and then the boss sometimes he's like a weasel. Sometimes he's like, oh, let's call the cops. We don't want to call the cops because you call the cops, they're gonna come back again. They're gonna think we're soft. You got to go out there and you got to give them what they need. You got to give them a beating. Even if we go down fighting, if we go down too, they're gonna know we ain't gonna take no crap from them. We're gonna go out there, we're gonna fight, and that's what we used to do. Like one time, there was these 10 African Americans. Me and this bouncer had a fight with them because one guy threw a Corona bottle at my TV screen that was above. We take the guys. There was guys outside already, but there was 3 of them, 4 of them inside. So we walked them out. All of a sudden, the door gets locked behind me. My partner, the bouncer, locks the door behind me. I'm outside now. Yes, we're all 10 of them. Now they're all surrounding me. I got no choice. I'm not gonna say, "Oh, please." I start fighting. I mean, they're hitting me everywhere. I'm hitting them everywhere. I feel me hitting them because I feel my fist hitting them in the teeth, and this and this and this and that. By the time now the sirens are coming, the cops are coming. At the end, there's 3 guys on the floor out cold. I knocked out 3 guys, and the rest of them all ran. Cops come. They're like, "What happened?" So I tell them what happened. So right away, the cop thinks I'm telling a bullcrap lie. I knocked out 3 guys. But there was 10 of them out here. Again, this was the time when you had the VHS cameras, and they seen basically what they seen. A lot of people separate. They seen people jumping on top of me. Right? Who gets locked up? I get locked up, but it wasn't
No.
nothing. Yeah, it was nothing serious. What they did was they put the cuffs up because there was a bus passing by, a city bus. Lady on the bus says she sees me at the time because I had the tattoos. So she sees me fighting with them. So she's thinking right away, I started it. I'm the one fighting with them. So I get locked up. They take me in. So now I'm fighting. I'm going nuts because I don't like being. Now I'm in a cage. Now you put me in a cage. I'm going wild now. It's like putting an animal in a cage they don't want to be in. So I'm going nuts. I've never been in a cage before. So because the cage is small, I'm going nuts. So they're like, calm down, calm down. That's why we had to do this. I mean, no. I said, if you didn't do this, I would have been calm. So I said, why did you put me here for? Because we needed to put you in to take you in so it looked good for us too, meaning the cops, because they were white cops that took me in. And if it didn't look like they would have took me in, it would have looked like favoritism. You get what I'm trying to say? Because they were black kids and I'm the
Yeah.
white guy. So they had to lock me up to make it look like, because if they didn't lock me up, if they would have locked them up, it would have been a problem. So what he did is he locked me up because of the woman on the bus saying I started it, but they seen it on the camera what happened. They know the guy started it. But the lady did the lady just seen what was going on in the street. And
What
that's what
about
happened.
what
So
about
my
the
boss
guy?
might have
What about
got
what about the guy who locked
the
you
three
out?
guys.
No,
The guy,
you said
the
who
guy.
locked
Oh, oh,
who
yeah,
locked
yeah,
the
yeah.
door on
The
you?
bouncer locked me out. The bouncer locked me out. It's funny because he's this tough guy. He belonged to a motorcycle club. It's funny because, and I'm like, I thought you were a tough guy. How the hell did you get into a biker club wearing your patches, your this, your that? You're supposed to be a tough guy, and you locked me outside. You didn't even come outside with me. You know, he said, basically what he was saying to me was that wasn't his business. It's not the motorcycle club problem. It was my problem. You know how fast I cracked this guy in his mouth? And when he said that, I cracked him right in his mouth. Because how do you so that means if you would do that to me, and then, I know the guys who he rides with, who he belongs to, and I told them about it. I said, "No, that's," but they said that he was 100% wrong, and they punished him for that. And I didn't care because you made me go against these guys, and you're getting paid like I am to protect this place. And we're supposed to be watching each other's back. And you didn't watch my back. So the club says if you're not going to watch his back and you're supposed to be a brother thing and bouncing, you're not going to watch our back neither then. That's what basically they're saying. You're not going to watch our backs neither. So we can't trust you. So they threw him a beating separately to compared because of what he did. They threw him a beating because of what he did. You know, you're supposed to be this tough guy also, because of who you with and who you ride for. And you're gonna lock the door out on me. You could be doing that to your own brother that's on, your own brother that rides with you. We're supposed to be one. When we're bouncers, we're all brothers in this lifetime. I walk down the street, I see a bouncer having a problem with somebody. I don't. It's none of my business. I'm going to get involved because this is what we do. We're a society. We're a brotherhood too. I'm going to get involved too. If there's more than one person. One on one, they can let them do what they got to do. Now, if it's two on one, then I'm going to get involved. because we're one, we're a brotherhood. When it comes to bouncers, we're a brotherhood. That's how I see it. It's like we're a reunion. We're together, and that's what we do. You know, but after what this guy did was like that was very, very, very poor and uncalled for. He got fired after that too, and I made sure he got fired because you don't want somebody like that works for you that's going to do that to you or somebody else. Because then the boss is walk at the end of the night. The boss walks out with a bag of money. These people come up to him and they say, "Give me your money." What is he going to do, the bouncer? Oh, take his money. Matter of fact, here's my wallet too. Take mine too. You know, it's so sad that you're a big guy. You're this and this. I guess it's just the way you look. It's more intimidating what you have outside than you have inside. You know, and in this lifetime, you got in all the jobs that I did, you got to have balls to do what I did. And I'm not putting medals on me. I did it because I like jobs like that, and I did it to support my family. I didn't do it because I want to show off. Because also I could get killed in the process in each job I did. Wrestling too. I could get hurt in wrestling. I could have broke my neck. I could have done this. I could have done that. Nobody realizes it. You could get hurt in wrestling also. You could break a neck falling wrong way. You're doing it to make the people happy. You're doing it to make the people come back and see you again. You know, I did it where the people hated me and they were going to come back again to watch me get my butt kicked. That's why the people always came back to watch me because they always wanted to see me get my butt kicked. From the guy I'm wrestling, their hero. It's like Batman fighting the Joker, Superman fighting Lex Luthor. It was good against bad. That's what it was in it. That's all it was. But when I went in there to go in there to hurt people. When the promoters paid me money to go hurt people for real, that's what I did. Until I got blackballed. I got blackballed from professional wrestling. And I'm going to tell you that story right now, how I got blackballed from professional wrestling. It got around where what I was doing in wrestling, I was an enforcer, where I was hurting people for promoters. So one day, this promoter comes up to me, never seen before, and he had this other guy with him. And he was supposed to be another promoter that I was going to help next. He was like bringing him with him. Didn't realize I was getting recording. I was getting recorded. So basically, what he was telling me goes, I have a prospect for you. I need you to take care of in the ring, and I'm going to pay you what you want. He goes, what is your job? What are you looking for? I said, I get paid $2,000. If I don't know who you are, I do it for 2,000. If I know you, I'll do 15. But I don't know you. I want 2,000. What do you want me to do? I don't like the way this guy just came in, and I think he is not what I want. But I can't cut him because he's got a contract. How long is the contract? I got him for 1 year because he's new. If he was knew him really well, he would have got more than one. So I put him for a prospect. I give him 1 year, but I don't want him because now I got to pay him. Okay, what do you want me to do to him? Hurt him, put him out, but don't finish his career. I don't want you. Just finish him. Okay. Basically, is you're not telling me to put him out. You're telling me to permanently put him out. Yeah. Okay. So I go in the ring, face off with the guy. Now, when you go in there, they think, when you do a move, they think, it could be an accident. I said, oh my God, it was an accident. I didn't do it on purpose. It was an accident. I broke the guy's leg by accident. You know, I took the guy and I broke his pelvis. So now when you break break his pelvis, guy's not going nowhere. He's done. Basically, that's what I did. Go in there, bust his pelvis. He can't wrestle no more. So now 30 days comes. Can't wrestle. He's got a big match coming up. Big money. Can't do it. So now his contract gets terminated. Now he's out in the street. He's done. But that's what they did. They record. Now I did that. Now this is when this other promoter came to me and he said to me, "I want you to do a job," and that's when I'll charge you 2 grand. He's like, and they're recording me. So once I took that money from him, they got me. The New York State Athletic Commission got me because they're the ones who supply you your license to fight. Now that license, when you get that license, you have to register yourself at the precinct because you're a dangerous person. No matter if you're a boxer, you're an MMA fighter, you're a wrestler. Because even if you're a wrestler, because I knew judo, I did judo for a living, and I boxed a little bit, but not much. But I mostly did a lot of judo, and you could hurt somebody really bad, judo, grappling, and stuff like that. So I basically had to register myself in the precinct. So you're a licensed fighter. So now I lost my license to fight in New York. So now, okay, I lost my fight. Now, yeah, but now I can't fight in the, even though it's New York, I can't fight in the regular states now. Okay, what do? I have a connection in Puerto Rico and I have a connection in Santo Domingo. I go wrestle out there now. And I did a lot more. I was a lot more popular out there as a bad guy because they took it serious wrestling out there. They took it very serious because when I go out there, I will fight their hero. And when you fight for against a Puerto Rican, a Spanish person, that's their hero. That's their god. So now I'm going over there to fight their god. They know my gimmick, my Aryan gimmick, this and that. Going there, calling them names, calling them cockroaches. I never been to a land of cockroaches before because this is the land of cockroaches. This is where it all started. The cockroaches. That's how New York has cockroaches because you people bring them here. That was my stick. That's what I was. I would torment the people. So when you torment the people like that, that shows they really hate you. Now they want to see you go down. Now you have a fight against their god. You go, I fight them all around the whole island of Puerto Rico or Santo Domingo. I beat the guy up every island there is. I beat him up. I beat him up. I beat him up. Now I'm supposed to come back to New York. Now I'm retiring. I'm done. I'm coming back to New York. Now the people don't know I'm leaving. So I go out, I say on TV over there, let's have a match. If you win, you'll get the championship. I mean, if you win, I will retire from professional wrestling. I will leave town and I will retire. If I win, I own your company. But it was all bull BS. So the people didn't know I was already leaving. So I would say, okay, I'm going to lose. Me, the promoter already knew I'm going to lose. I'm going to leave. So now stadium gets packed, full house. They want to see this fight go on. You know, me and the guy were all bloodied. It's real blood. We're basically hitting, we're bleeding for real. We're blood, chair shots, bing, ba boom, hitting each other with everything. And at the end, it's time to go home. Time to go home means to finish the match. I do something where I mess up. He does something. He connects with me. Boom, I go down. He pins me 1, 2, 3. The people go freaking bananas, nuts, and everything. I'm out. I'm out of. So they're happy. Everything gets back to normal again. Now, I walk away happy because I made a lot of money. Thank you to you people that don't know really is going on here because they think it's real in Puerto Rico. Promoter's happy. He just made a ton of money. Now, the guy who I wrestled, I call him God. He made a ton of money. So everybody's happy. So then what I would do is the next year comes, I will come back unexpectedly. He's in the match. I will come in the match, run into the ring and beat him up, wear a mask, and then take the mask off. It's me again. I'm back. And the people are like, oh no, he's back. Yeah. So it starts all over again, and then that's how we make our money. And that's what we used to do. And the people didn't realize this until later on, you know, God rest Hulk Hogan, God rest his soul. He changed wrestling until rock and roll. He changed it like a car. He made it to a cartoon. He made it where everybody knows it's real or fake. I mean, listen, it's more money now in this business than anything. And I understand that. But me, I did it. I made money. I did it because I loved this sport. I loved it. Now, not because also I made money. I loved it. Wrestling was I loved wrestling. That was my thing. I had family, always watched it. Like I said, I loved the UK wrestling. The only thing different about UK wrestling, they have rounds. I never realized rounds in wrestling you guys have out there in the UK. I never seen rounds before, and then it's amazing how wrestling turned out to be in the UK here. But I think in the UK it's more realistic where you're at than it is here. It's more different over here. It's more cartoonish over here these days. I don't watch it no more. I don't want nothing to do with it anymore. It's so sad the way it is now. It's all about money. It ain't about how good you are anymore. But with guys like me, we suffer because of our arthritis, our knees, our back, but we don't get no help from that. We don't get nothing from that, but I don't look for nothing from that. We do our autograph signing, we do our meet and greets to make an extra dollar here and there. Little kids will come up to us. Can we have your autograph? Of course, I sign an autograph. Here's a picture. Because you get guys these days now, like John Cena and all these guys out there. A kid stops by you, and I seen it, and I think that's wrong. The kid is making you what you are. Put money in your pocket. Stop for a second and sign an autograph for the kid. Don't say, "Oh, I got no time." Really? Anybody that comes up to me, can I have a Mad Dog? Can I have an autograph? Oh, sure. I'll put my bag down. What do you want me to sign? And if I have a picture on me, I'll give it to him for free. I'm not going to charge him $20 for a picture, because I'm not working. I'm out in the street walking, you know. I'll sign whatever you want, for free because you're the ones who made me who I am, you know, and that's who I was. Even though you're a bad guy, remember you're a character. You were a character. These guys play their characters 24/7, and it's wrong. And even though you're a superhero kind of guy, stop and sign an autograph for the kid. The kid made you. The kid's coming to see. The kid's wearing your wristbands. The kid's wearing your shirt, your hat. Give the kid something, so the kid could go home and say, "Look what I got." Make the kid happy. But nobody does that these days no more. Nobody does that. You know.
You
But
lived a hell of a life,
that's
Joe. How?
basically. Yeah, I mean, listen.
I was
There's a
going to.
lot more I could tell you, but maybe one day we could do another one. I could tell you crazy more stuff, but we'll just take it. You know, we'll go to A to B slowly. We'll just I just gave you whatever I could give you that what I did, but there's a lot more I want to basically tell. But I want to break the ice with you so you can know what I'm about because we never met before, and it was a pleasure meeting you. I've been wanting to meet you a long time, you know, because I see who you are, and I respect a guy like you because of what you did, you know, what you did back then. Because listen, you did what you did. You want to make money. You have a family too. You got to do what you have to do, and you liked what you did, and I'm. There's nothing wrong with that. Do I have regrets? No, I got no regrets. Only maybe it depends where. I only have a regret, but maybe the guys the promoters paid me to go beat up. And once I did, they had no money coming in. They had a family. That's the only thing I regret doing that. Other than that, I mean, it was a job. Understand that. But the other jobs I had, I have no regrets over that. Everything I did because that's what I like to
Joe,
do.
how did you first hear about Wildman?
When you go on YouTube, you just floating around. Anything to do with crime, I love. I seen one day I'm
Mm.
tuning in. It was I remember to this day too. I was watching something about you had these crazy looking goggles on. You got something I think from a fan. Crazy looking goggles
The
on.
blue ones. Yeah,
Yeah, I think it was something to do with Wild Man. It was like part one or two of Wild Man. And I'm looking at YouTube and I'm like looking at both. I'm like, oh, this must be crazy shit crazy shit going on. I'm like, I gotta watch this. Let me see this. But it was already on
yeah.
already. You guys already did this. So there was already part two out, part three out. It was already out already. You guys were all over the place. I didn't know that. So and I'm watching this, and it's basically you two were like best friends growing up. You guys did everything together. And when you talk about the fish and chips, this and that, I love stuff like that. I love to hear stuff like that. And the stuff you guys did together and the crazy stuff you guys did together. You know, it basically, you guys pulled me in and and I actually stuck with you guys. And I watched every single episode. I finished it, yeah, but I watched it. Sometimes I still watch it occasionally. I do, believe me. My wife was like, "Again? Again?" I said, "Yeah, again." And I said, "I love watching. I love, yeah." She's like, "Again?" But she's like, "Wow, again?" And she was like, "And Sean again?" I'm like, "Yep, yep." She knows, but I watch you guys. She'll sit down, she'll watch it too because she loves, she loves the story. She loves watching that stuff. And and Wild Man is sitting there, and I'm watching him. He's chugging down those drinks. He's got those whatever beer, whatever he's drinking down, and he's telling me stories about these. The funny story when I heard when he was telling me about was about these when you went to the Mexican's house, and he was there in the house with these Mexicans. When you guys went to the house, and he was there with these guys, this Mexican gang or something. You remember it was that
Yeah,
story.
and
Yeah, when
he wasn't.
he was
Yeah, and I wasn't supposed to let him in, and he's yelling at them, and they had
yeah,
guns and
yeah.
everything. Yeah, yeah.
Oh my god, yeah. I'm like, oh my god, and I'm saying to myself, and I'm trying to picture what you guys looked like at this time, and I'm trying to picture what you guys look like. You guys are a lot younger, and then you start showing pictures about Wild Man with that crazy long hair. I'm like, oh my god, he could have been a wrestler himself, and you could have managed him. That would have been great. You guys were perfect, you know. And then and I'm watching. Then I seen him doing these stories about cooking stories about prison. I'm like, he's at his. You guys are sitting on a couch. He's telling stories, and all of a sudden, I see him start talking about making food, how to survive in prison. I'm like, wow. Then I start seeing you guys doing interviews with other people. Him on one side, you're in the middle, and you got your guests. I'm like, this is nice. I like stuff like this. And this is when I'm thinking now, oh my God, this would have been great if they would do, I would love to do a story with these guys. But I didn't know how to get, at that time, I didn't know how to get in touch with you. I didn't know nothing about this computer crap and stuff like that. So basically, I said, maybe one day I will learn. And the years went by, and there we go. But the only thing in it, Wildman ain't here, but he's here in spirit. But it would have been crazy, just to hear all of our stories together. But when
He
I
would have loved
seen
to have
when
met you,
and then when
Joe.
I seen at the end when I seen Wildman fall asleep on your podcast, I fell on the floor. And then when you guys did that sleepy video, I was Oh my God, that Rockabye Baby kind of thing. I was like, oh my God, and the way you guys did that. And then your guest, I forgot his name. I mean, it was like the guest. What was he like a trans or something? The guest.
And hermaphrodite, yeah.
Yes, nice person. I respect not 100%, but the way he was looking at him, falling asleep, and I'm like, and I laugh because I watch your guests good when they look at it, when they watch him and they looking at him like because once you announce him, he gives you that wave. I noticed that wave, and then when you announce, if you look at your show and you announce them, he's like who cares? You can see his face when he does that, and I laugh because now I'm watching them look at him. You know, when you had the guy there, what's his name? The Godfather. What was his name? He was like the Black Godfather. He was like a black guy, an older man. He was like the Godfather, like a mobster. What was his name? Towards the end,
A mob a mobster. Was it John Elite?
it was like I think you called him Godfather, like he was like the
Oh, you
Godfather or
probably
something. Like
I can't remember. There's been so many.
he was right before Roy Shaw's son, right before him. He was right before Roy Shaw's son,
Was
right
it the guy
before him.
with the guy with the teardrops? Did he have teardrops?
No, no, no. He was an older gentleman. He was a
It
black
was the
older gentleman. A black older gentleman.
Hmm. I'd have to go back and have a look on the playlist.
Yeah, it was a black older gentleman.
Yeah.
It was like the Godfather. Like I guess it was like the Godfather or something like that. You know, and I'm watching him. He's watching Wild Man like because he's watching the movements Wild Man is making, and I'm laughing up a storm like, oh my God, this guy's looking at. I'm waiting for Wild Man to say something to this guy because the way they look at him, they're probably saying, oh my God. I mean, because Wild Man got bigger over the years. He got big, and he looked like he could like just like take the guys, just like break them, And I'm like, and just watching his expressions on his face was like priceless. So I watched, and once I watched, so then one day I said, you know what? I seen him on Facebook. I said, let me see if I can get in touch with him. Let's see if he gets. I said, 1,001 will get in touch with me. He actually got in touch with me. I was like, wow, okay, great. So we talked for a little bit. He was like very honored, that he has a fan, a very big fan. I told him I was a big fan of both of you guys, you and Sean, and he was like so blessed by that. And then then when I found out he passed away, it was like very heartbroken to me. It was very, Then I felt more heartbroken too because of you, because that was like your brother.
Mm.
I felt so bad because of you because that was your brother. Now then I'm watching you. It felt empty because it's like it was always YouTube, but now it's just by yourself. So I'm watching you, and all of a sudden, the Sammy the Gravano thing comes up between you two, and I'm like, uh oh, now what's going on? Now it's Sammy and you now. So I never heard that story before, and then now Sammy's like, I don't know him. I never heard of him. I never this and this is. I'm like, and we all know whatever Sammy. I'm like, Sammy knows this guy, but Sammy ain't saying nothing. Sammy knows who this guy is. Come on. Come on. If this guy's going to come out and say what he did, come on. You got it. And all of a sudden, later on, I guess Sammy, you know, his mind came back and he actually knows who you are because now he knows who you are. You know, it was great. Then you guys did that documentary. That documentary came out so great. I enjoyed more watching you than I did him because I already knew his story, his whatever. But I just want to know, I want to know what you were about because I didn't know what you were about. back then. I just knew you from here and what you did. And basically I wanted to see what you were about on that thing. And I was like, wow, I didn't know you were like that heavy at the time with that stuff, all that thing you did in your past. And it was like, I'm not going to judge, you do what you have to do. That's how I feel, I'm not going to say you're a bad person. I respect you as a human being. I'm not going to hate you. I'm not going to, because we were all there. We all did what we had to do, you know, to survive. And I respect you for that. I'm not going to trash talk you and say this and that, but there's a lot of jealousy out there also, a lot of jealousy out there. And you could see who the jealous people are. If you did better than him, you did, but you know what? Look where you are. Look where he went. It's like, I don't like judging nobody, but I just don't like nobody talking down on nobody. Basically, if you did the same thing, don't talk crap about somebody. You did the same thing too, and nothing more I can say is I respect you for that. You did your thing, and you did it for a reason. Listen, we're all young and we all did our stupid things. We all did our funny things. We all did our, you know. Then we grow up. We have a family now. You have a beautiful, you have a beautiful wife. You have beautiful children. You know, you're a great father. I could see. I seen videos, and you know, life goes on. You could just think about your past and what you did. It's just the past now. You did your thing. We're all grown up now. Like me, I did my things. I'm all grown up now. I'm 50 now. I can't do shit. I can't do shit that I used to do anymore. No way. I don't even remember. I don't even remember what I ate yesterday. You know, that's how bad I am. You know, I'm dead serious. I got hit. Let me tell you something. I got hit in the head so many times. I'm dead serious. Sometimes I don't remember yesterday. My wife has to be like, "You ate this yesterday. You did this yesterday." She has to remind me a lot of times. I don't remember half of the things anymore. You know. But I remember this today. That's for sure. I couldn't wait for today. I remember this. I was looking forward to this. Believe me.
Oh, thank you, man. Let me just finish it then. Don't go anywhere. So viewers,
Nope.
let us know what you think in the comments. I'll put the link down there as well for the Wild Man Falling Asleep video to give you guys a laugh. Is there anything you'd like to say, Joe, to the people who've been watching this?
Basically, I'm going to say to the people in the UK. I love the people. I love all you people in the UK. I respect everybody in the UK. Between all your actors, I love all you actors out there. And I tell you, my favorite movie out there, like Rise of the Foot Soldier. I can't wait for the next one to come out. What is it, up to 1,000 now? But I love them all. You know, I love the actors that play. The actors that play. You got Craig, you have Terry, you have all the other great celebrities, Josh Myers. You have all the great celebrities that play there, and even I had a great. You guys had a great rugby player. I respected Big Jim Mills. I respect that man to like no tomorrow. I love that guy, Big Jim Mills, and
Played for my
you know
hometown.
there you see. I know a lot of the from this side of the pond. I know a lot
Mhm.
about the people that go on over there because I respect the UK, and I can't. Maybe one day I will come to the UK and visit. Just to see what it's about. But I respect you people. I love you people out there. Keep doing what you're doing. And to the other people, like I said, I love you guys too. But the UK, I love you people a lot more.
Oh, thanks, Joe. Stay there. Don't go anywhere yet. I'm just going to end it. Let us know in the comments what you think, viewers. And if you are looking for a harrowing, hard-hitting Christmas read as a gift for somebody, my latest book, I've written 17. This is part of a free book series. Latest one, third in the installment, Sit Downs with Serial Killers and Murderers. Link in the description box below this video. From the back, having gained a rep for earning the trust of some of the world's most dangerous people, Shaun delves into his most hard-hitting interviews with the most menacing and violent murderers he's ever met. From serial killers to brutal prison gangs, Shaun has collected his most fascinating and incredible conversations with shocking criminal figures. He explores the life of an armed robber, a man who spent 45 years behind bars, and a serial killer with 52 confirmed victims. That's Delmas Colvin. I had to listen to that podcast again the next day. It disturbed my sleep. It's the most chilling one I've ever done, I would say, was interviewing Delmas in prison where he's serving life. If you're interested in these books, we appreciate your support. Links will be in the description box below this video if you're watching on YouTube. Cheers.